talk about. Because it's a lot of words and descriptive qualities. And sometimes in the traditions, what is feminine, what is masculine are different. So it's really, we want to try to make this as experiential as possible this morning and do some amount of talking like we've been doing, that's been done in the last couple of days, but also share in some practices together, which will be a little bit of meditation, like a guided meditation, and some chanting of mantras, and then a little bit of dialogue. And we'd love for you to be part of the conversation at some point. We'd like, if you have questions or any comments, to please take part in that and let it be more of a together thing. Okay?
So just
anybody have anything to say or ask at this point? So while they're getting ready with the sound, I'm going to make an announcement on my behalf, which is I have a new album coming out. This is my one chance to say something, so I'm going to do it. It's called Bhumi Devi, which means Earth Goddess. I've had a pre-sale going for a lot of days, and it ends in 2 days. So if we're going to sing a couple of chants from the album today, and if any of you would like to participate in the pre-sale, which has a bunch of reward tiers that basically I'm not going to offer them afterwards, it's just part of this, before the album comes out online on streaming platforms later in the year. So the postcard for that is up there, and the ridiculous poster with my face on it is for the album too, with the QR code, okay? So I just wanted to mention that. And just so you have an idea of what's happening also, tomorrow we are doing another workshop on the sacred feminine, and we're going to dedicate that, we think, unless something changes, to Tara, specifically in her many forms. So if you don't hear it this morning, it's because we're going to spend time with that. And then Chandra is going to have an event of her own. It's all of this on the schedule. I'm just kind of explaining how we're showing up. And I will also have an early morning session. It's written up as Gayatri Mantra, and we can do that. And we might do a couple of other things as well. And then finally, and Michelle Lowe, who many of you know, who was supposed to be teaching here and is having some very serious health conditions, will show, she's flying in today, and she was going to be part of many of these programs, but she can't. But she will have her own session, which is also on the schedule. You'll see it there. And on the June 2nd, we, Chandra, Michelle, Tenzin Bob, and I will just be up here, and we'll kind of bring the whole thing full circle. So it's really an immersion, and it may not be too linear, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what's happening. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So can we just, let's just kind of come together for a second and chant 3 ohms together. And I'm going to chant 3 invocational prayers just to kind of get us started. Brad, are the people online? They're online. Thank you. Okay. Hello, people online who I can't see. Thanks for being here. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Ganana Antva Ganapati Gum Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashranvannuti Bhisida Sadanam Mahaganapataye Namaha Prano Devi Saraswati Vajebhirvajinivati Dhinam Vitravatu Ano Divo Brihataf Parvatada Saraswati Yajata Ganti Yagyam Havan Devi Jujushana Ghritachi Shagmano Vacha Mushati Shrunotu Vagdevyai Namaha Charanam Pavitram Vitatam Puranam Yena Putastarati Dushkritani Tena Pavitrena Shuddhena Putaha Atipapmanamaratintarema Shri Sadguru Charanaravinda Bhyan Namaha. So these invocational mantras are to Ganapati, Ganesha, Devi Saraswati, the goddess of learning and practice, and to the Guru who you might have outside of your body and also inside your own heart, your own intuitive knowing place. As we enter into the practice of the goddess, I'll just give you a little introduction of where this is coming from. I'd like for all of us to enter into this mandala of a few verses from a series of prayers called the Chandi Path, which is prayers to the goddess Chandi, and literally means she who tears apart thought. And she takes many forms, she has many names, and they're all spoken in these 700 verses. So there is an opening meditation, which I thought we could do together. I'll read through it, and all you have to do is just kind of allow yourself to be in the space, however you're comfortable, and arrive. And arrive while we are calling the goddess into our space. So with the invocations, we've already asked the devatas to come, like Robert Svoboda said yesterday when he did the invocation. And then we call the specific devata that we're honoring, addressing, or welcoming today. And in this case, it's the sacred feminine, and she can be known in different ways depending on your tradition or your lineage. So just think of the Great Mother. Think of her in that way, because she encompasses all. Okay? So these verses are in Sanskrit, but what I thought would be nice to do is I'm going to read the verses in English and just listen as best as you can. It'll sound a little strange in terms of the grammar, but just hear the words and it'll come out of order, but you'll get it. Okay? Om Shri Matre Namaha. Protect me, O Goddess, difficult to perceive. You who increase the fear in our enemies, may the energy of the rule of the pure protect me in the east. In the southeast, the God who is the light of meditation. In the south, the most excellent desire of union. In the southwest, she who wields the sword of worship. In the west, may the energy of the Lord of equilibrium give protection. And in the northwest, she who is carried by the deer of enthusiasm. In the north, may the ever pure one protect. In the northeast, the wielder of the pike of concentration. Above, may the creative energy protect me, and then below, the energy which pervades all. And all the 10 directions may be protected by the slayer of passion and anger, mounted upon the corpse of inert consciousness. In front, may victory protect me, and may conquest protect me in the rear. On the left side, may stand the undefeated one, and on the right, the unconquerable. May the luminous one guard the crown of the head, and may the mother of protective energy safeguard residing on the head. May the one who wears the garland protect in the forehead, and in the eyebrows the bearer of welfare. The three-eyed one between the eyebrows, and restrained sound in the nose. The bearer of the constant vibration between the eyes. In the ears, the dweller at the doors. In the cheeks, may the goddess of time protect. And behind the ears, the energy which causes peace. In the nostrils, excellent scent, and on the upper lip, the sweet taste. On the lower lip, a drop of nectar, and in the tongue, the spirit of all knowledge. May the ever pure one protect the teeth, and in the throat, she who tears apart thought. In the uvula, the one of varied sound, and the great measurement of consciousness in the palate. May the goddess who causes love protect the chin. All welfare protect my speech. The excellent remover of darkness, the neck. The wielder of the bow of determination, the backbone. In the outer neck, the blue-necked one. In the throat pipe, the goddess of inspired songs. In the shoulders, may the wielder of the sword of worship protect. In my arms, she who bears the thunderbolt of illumination, Vajradharini. May the energy which bears the staff of discipline protect my hands, and the universe, the mother of the universe, the fingers. May the ruler of the trident of harmony protect the nails. In the abdomen, the ruler of the family. May the great goddess protect my breasts, she who destroys all sorrow in the mind. In the heart, the desired goddess, and in the stomach, the bearer of the pike of concentration. May the goddess of love protect the navel. In the vulva, the ruler of mystical secrets. May purity of desire protect the penis, and she who rides the buffalo of perseverance, the anus. May the supreme goddess protect the hips. In the knees, she who resides in knowledge. In the shanks, may the great strength protect, the granter of all desires. In the ankles, the goddess of courageous fortitude, and on the top of the feet, she who is heat and light. In the toes, may prosperity protect, and in the soles, she who dwells in support. On the nails, she with great tusks, and she with great hairs in the hair. In the pores of the skin, the energy of wealth, and the skin, the energy which rules vibrations. May the daughter of spiritual discipline protect my blood, marrow, fat, flesh, bones, and lymph, the entrails protected by the dark night of overcoming egotism, and the bile, the crowned sovereign. May the goddess of the lotus of peace protect the lungs, and she with the crest jewel, the phlegm, and she with the radiant face, the luster of the nails, and the unbreakable one, all the joints. May the creative energy protect my semen, and the goddess with the supreme umbrella, my shadow. May my ego, mind, and intellect be protected by she who supports the way of truth to wisdom. May she who holds the thunderbolt of illumination in her hands protect my life, welfare, and 5 vital breaths, inhaling, exhaling, diffusing, rising, and equalizing. Taste, form, smell, sound, and feeling, may she, the goddess of union, protect, and may knowledge, action, and desire always be protected by the exposer of consciousness, Narayani. May the most excellent desire of union protect life and the energy of that which pervades all. Protect the way of truth to wisdom. May welfare, repute, prosperity, wealth, knowledge be protected by she who holds the discus of revolving time. May the energy of the rule of the pure protect my lineage, and may she who tears apart thought protect my animals. May the great goddess of true wealth protect my children, and the formidable goddess protect my mate. May the goddess of excellent paths protect my path, and the giver of salvation my way. May the great goddess of true wealth protect me at the gate to the royal palace, where victory always dwells. Om Shri Matre Namaha.
And now feeling the protection of the mother in all of these different aspects of our being and our life and the world around us. We enter more deeply into the temple of practice. And in our next step, let's give rise to a very heartfelt motivation for our practice, for our life, for the world. Take a moment here to, if you wish, bring your hands together at your heart and make a personal prayer, something of poetry of the heart arising within you. And if you haven't already done so, infuse this personal prayer with a more universal prayer. May whatever it is that you prayed for come to fruition for your own benefit and for the benefit of all beings everywhere. So in Buddha Dharma, we often make a prayer at the beginning. May I awaken to my true nature, not only for my own benefit, but for the benefit of all beings. And let that come alive in you in whatever way feels authentic. And so may our time together of our practice and our study, our chanting, maybe even our dancing, be for our own purification and awakening and nourishment so that we may go out in the world from here more refreshed, more resourced, more awake and whole for the benefit of the world. And let's take a few breaths together to help align the nervous system with a more grounded feeling of being present here now. A version of the resonance pranayama of breathing in for a count of 4, a holding for a count of 2, and an exhaling for a count of 6. We'll do about 5 rounds of this to see how we can even release into presence more deeply than now. So feel the breath emptying, and then slowly inhale, filling the belly, 1, then the chest, 2, 3, 4, gentle hold, 1, 2, exhale, 1, feel the chest emptying, then the belly, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhale, 1, 2, drinking in the breath, nourishing yourself, 3, 4, holding, 1, 2, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, holding, 1, like a suspension of the breath, then exhale, releasing any tension, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, smoothing out the edges, inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, holding, 1, 2, exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Last one. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding. 1, 2. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now release control of the breath, breathing naturally, and feel the after effect. And so you may feel a quality of spaciousness kind of opening to you, especially as you release the out breath and before you take the in breath. That is said to be where we access the empty, luminous space of the mind. So see if you can, with the next few breaths, just Release any control and just see at the end of the out breath if there's any moment, spaciousness, clarity. Maybe feel that as the warm breath of the Dakini, the embrace of the Great Mother. It's always here with us, like your own nose or your own face. We just don't see it. And feel the warmth of that. It's not a stark emptiness, it's a warm, interdependent, luminous, blissful, empty quality of mind. Empty in the sense of it's empty of a solid thingness, not empty like a void. And then let's slowly open the eyes, but without losing that a little bit. See if you can open your eyes, but without coming up and out of that experience. You can look around the room and it's almost like, can you see the space between you and me, or you and other people, or you and the wall? They say the nature of mind, our wakeful, luminous nature of mind, it's always here with us. It's like the air we breathe. It's so ever present, we miss it. Or like, I think Thurman said on the first night, I think the luminous nature is like the vajra on the tip of your nose. And it made me think of the teaching of like, it's like our nose on our face. We just, unless you have a big nose, you don't really see it. Mhm. I want to tell a story about one of the four women Mahasiddhas out of the 84. Four? What's that percentage? I don't know. Who's good at math? Two? About 4%. Her name, I forget her name even because, yeah, Mani Bhadra. What does Bhadra mean, Robert? Auspicious money, which is the precious jewel, right? Okay, so the story goes, so the Mahasiddhas are the figures who, kind of in a simple way, we can understand, who lived, they were real beings who lived in and around India, mostly in South Asia, India, during the medieval period, you could say, of Tantra. So around the 800s to the 1200s, that's when it really flourished. And so all of the Mahasiddhas were tantric practitioners. They were either Buddhist or Hindu tantric practitioners. There are a lot of overlap, or there's some overlaps. Like Gorakshnath and Matsyendranath, those were both Buddhist and Hindu, or not yogi. Mahasiddhas, it's interesting. But there's a woman who, I love this story, and I didn't know she was categorized in this list of the 84 Mahasiddhas until I was looking this up yesterday. Because I've heard her story before. Mani Bhadra, Manibhadra. Let's say her name. Mani Bhadra. Mani Bhadra. Maybe we'll remember it. Mani Bhadra. So she was a young woman who, is kind of common in South Asian culture, was kind of promised in marriage at a young age, around 13, but didn't go live with her partner until she was of age, older. And she was a devoted housewife. Sometimes her epithet is the devoted housewife or the good housewife. The happy wife is another epithet of her. That sounds good, doesn't it? Better than good. And so she was married and devoted to her family and her husband and running the household. And the story goes that one day a sadhu came. He was actually a Mahasiddha also. And I think his name was Luipa, maybe, or something like that. I can look that up. But he came begging to her doorstep, and she welcomed him into the home and fed him. And they started talking. And she asked him about his life and his teaching and why he had such a wonderful, peaceful countenance and what his secret was. And so he told her about his practices, and she asked him if he would teach her. And so he said, yes, come to the charnel ground where I live, and I will teach you. And so she went, and he gave her teachings. I think it was just a day of teachings or afternoon of teachings. And then she began to integrate those into her practice, but she did it at night. So nobody knew she was a tantrika. So classically, true tantric practitioners did not broadcast that they were tantrikas. Even the Dalai Lama says that is like, I'm just a, modest Mahayana monk. But really, he's a badass tantric practitioner. So that's something for us to think about too in this modern world. In any case, keeping it on the down low because you're cultivating Shakti, you're cultivating a lot of energy. And if we yak about it a lot, then we're leaking that energy. And there's other reasons too. In any case, she practiced at night. Even her family didn't know that she was a tantric practitioner. And the story goes that she practiced for quite a long time and was, seeing some results, but no Maha results yet. And then one day she went down to the river with her clay pot to gather water. She filled it up and then she put it on her head and she starts walking back up the slope and she trips on a root, a tree root. And the pot falls and cracks, spatters open, all the water and cracks open. And in that moment, she had an awakening experience, like Satori in Japanese, that instant enlightenment. And in that moment, she recognized that the space inside of the pot was not different than the space outside of the pot. And that was like, it was a teaching on the nature of her own mind, that we don't just exist in here, that consciousness is vast like space, awareness is vast like space, and yet it's luminous, it's prabhasvara, luminous, clear, Ösel in Tibetan. And the more detailed story that I'd never heard before that I read last night is interesting. Apparently, she was kind of frozen in time there, staring at the pot all day. And her family was wondering, where's mom? Mom's not coming back. And they went down to the river and they found her and she was still like in this frozen posture. And then she sang a song, saying, we wander in samsara looking for God in all these places, but really it's just in here. I'm paraphrasing. Maybe I'll find the song, and I was thinking we should put it to music. So she's one of the Mahasiddhas. So let's take that story and enter into a practice right now. Just a couple minutes. So don't get, if you only meditate for 1 or 2 minutes, then you're less likely to be like daydream about whatever. So we're just going to sit for 1 or 2 minutes. You can meditate with the eyes open or closed, however you like to meditate. And meditate on this story. Feel like we're a pot, right? We feel like a pot. We're made of clay, we're made of mud, the 5 elements. And we operate like we're just in here. Sometimes we feel imprisoned by the pot, by our mind, thoughts, concepts, ego. That's all the pot. Our afflictive emotions, our identity. And picture Manibhadra on the bank of the river, the pot on her head tripping, and then the pot falls and cracks open. What if you were her? What if your pot cracked open? And you realize that you already were perfect as you are. You are already luminous, clear, wakeful awareness, spacious like the sky. And all the thoughts and feelings and identities and the aches and pains were like clouds arising and passing within that sky-like mind. They're not you. They're parts of you. Actually, there is no you. There's just open, luminous, loving space, knowing, cognizant. It's often said, rest the mind, vast like space, free of center, free of periphery. And let's come back. Did you feel that difference of the pot and then cracking open in a bit more of a unification or like a blending with space, like awareness mixing with space, space pervading awareness, awareness pervading space? Did you feel? Anyone want to share? You're so spaced out, you can't talk. Yeah, that we have a mic here. Let's wait for the mic so the folks online can hear you too. For the benefit of all beings, wait for the mic. Yeah, but even if you're loud, the online folks won't hear you. She's back. And say your name too, please. This mic.
I'm Katie, and what I was thinking about was this space, Menla, and all you really need to do is look out over the mountain ranges and just you're a part of it. You're hovering around it, and it feels like it goes on forever. So this is like the perfect place and space to really think about that.
Yeah.
It's just so expansive, and you are all here. Your spirit is all around here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's nothing like being in nature for practice. It just naturally starts to unfold. That's how I feel too. Thank you. Maybe one more person? I'd love to hear, like, what does that experience feel like for the non-you, the relative level you? Yes. And please say your name.
Jeff,
Jeff.
this may not address exactly what you said, but awareness is space. That was my experience. Space is awareness.
Yes. Yes.
They are not two.
Yes.
And that's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had a taste of that.
Mhm.
No one can take that from you.
Mhm.
You were like Mani Padra. Thank you. So that awareness that recognizes space, I want to talk about this because it gets us to the Great Mother and also the yin and the yang and the non-dual experience that Robert Thurman alluded to, or didn't allude to, he's taught on with the Prabhasvara on the first night. So the Great Mother is Pragya Paramita. Prajna Paramita, Prajna, Prajna, is wisdom. And it's not any old wisdom. It's not like the old man with the beard wisdom. It's wisdom it's this clear seeing into your true nature. It's a direct perception. They say wisdom, this prajna or prajna, is a direct perception of emptiness. And in Buddhism, a lot of people are like, isn't Buddhism all about like empty, cold starkness? And unfortunately, that's just a misrepresentation of the original teachings. It's actually a warm, fuzzy place, like being embraced by the Great Mother. It's interdependence. So that is the Great Mother. Pragya Paramita is that direct perception of the true nature of reality, which is empty yet appearing, empty of solidity, but it's vibrating with infinite potential. It's that akasha that Robert Svoboda talked about yesterday. And her epithets of her are mother of all the Buddhas, because all of us future Buddhas, have to have that direct perception of the empty, luminous nature of reality in order to be born, like reborn, to be birthed into Buddhahood, to like graduate with your cap and gown and throw up your hat and like graduate into Buddhahood. So she's the mother of all Buddhas. She's also she's said to be the genetrix of the awakened state. Like gyno, same root. Generation, genetrix, she who generates, she who births, the awakened state. Or womb of totality is another epithet of her. So again, the feminine principle, even though the absolute nature is beyond gender, if you were to designate a gender, they say you would lean towards the feminine gender. Why? Because of that birthing capacity of the fabric of reality. And so in Buddhist Tantra, have you seen, and maybe it's here in the temple somewhere or on the property, a famous tanka, a Tibetan painting of I think my phone, could somebody hand me my phone? I'll turn off the notification. Of a blue naked Buddha in union with a white Buddha. Thank you. Really?
He's not blue. They're there, right in the center.
Samantha Badri.
Samantha Badra and Samantha Badri. Yeah, right there on the top. So when we point to tankas, we're not supposed to use our finger. It's considered to be disrespectful. And I just did that for a second. So no, I'm kidding. This is what Tibetans do. Tanka, with respect. So if you can't see it now, come and look at it during the break. Those aren't like two Buddhas having hot sex. Like that is pointing out instructions for what Jeff just described, realizing the space like nature of mind. So in that representation, the blue Buddha is the masculine. His name is Samanta Bhadra. There's the Bhadra again in Sanskrit. And that means the all good one or always good one. Because like Thurman said, it's all good. We just have to remember life is good, we're good, our essence is good. And he embodies that. And his consort is Samanta Bhadri, the feminine, So the all good lady, the all good one with the feminine gender. So they're in union, and that symbolizes not a guy and a girl or masculine, feminine. It symbolizes awareness recognizing its space-like nature. So in this context, the masculine, Samantabhadra, symbolizes emptiness and space. And the feminine, the white figure, represents Rigpa, the recognition, the luminous clarity of mind that recognizes itself as space. That is Prabhasvara, Usel, the feminine part. So I wanted to tie that in and make it more experiential. Do you feel that? So it's like you've got the subjective me sitting here trying to meditate and finally taste my true nature for once, or whatever. Like, please, Tara, bless me. And then you've got spacious, luminous, empty awareness, like spacious, luminous, empty universality. And so when finally grace descends and my awareness recognizes itself, there's a non-dual recognition, non-dual experience of my true nature. So that's what that tanka is teaching us. That's what that root taught Mani Bhadra. So in the story, it says that root that tripped her, I think that the story goes that her guru gave her 12 teachings. And the story says that root was her 13th teaching. So when she recognized her true nature, she was Samantabhadri, tasting space, emptiness. Samantabhadra. Okay, so we're going to have time for Q&A at the very end of this class. So if you have any questions or sharing, you can write them down if you think you might need to. So I want to go into chanting now. And this one's kind of rhythmic and tribal. So it's going to energize you, but it's also the Prajnaparamita mantra that is meant to open us to that beyond duality, that non-dual state. And you actually chanted it yesterday because it's the mantra at the end of the Heart Sutra. They say that that mantra, Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha, is the first official mantra in Buddhism. It appears at the end of the Heart Sutra, Mahayana text. They date around the 3rd century CE, between the 1st and 3rd. There's another mantra that came before, which was Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetun Tekan Tathagata Hayawada Tekan Sai No Rit Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetu Tekan Tathagata Hayawada Tekan Sayo Nirodha Ewa Madi Maha Shamanai Soha. That is something we say in our Nundro practice to purify our mind and our speech. And that is the interdependence mantra that one of the Buddha's students said to a regular guy he ran into in the forest who said, why are you glowing? Why do you look so great? And the monk chanted this mantra, basically saying the sage, the Shramana, the great Shramana, taught that because this exists, that exists. And because that exists, this exists, interdependence. So they say that technically is the first mantra. But then this Gate Gate mantra is sort of more commonly known and often called the first Buddhist mantra. A lot of people don't know that this is the mantra to the Great Mother. So now you know. So you learned it yesterday. Om Gate Gate, say it after me. Om Gate Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Bodhi Svaha. So it's maybe up on the screen, or we're going to try to share it in case you need to look at it. And sometimes there's the teyata or tadyata, which means thus it is said. So sometimes you'll see that at the beginning of the mantra, and sometimes it's gone. Sometimes you see the om at the beginning, and sometimes you don't, because the om is more tantric. It came a bit later. So sometimes the mantra is just tadyata or teyata, as the Tibetans say, gate gate paragate parasam gate bodhisvaha. Or sometimes the tadyata is just gone and you have the om like we have here. And in this chanting melody, we will do it the way it's written. I can't see it, but there's no tadyata there, right?
There isn't.
Yeah. So gate gate means gone, gone. Paragate means complete, like not completely, but beyond gone. Para is like periphery, the same Indo-European root of periphery,
Parameter.
paralegal, parameter.
Parameter.
It means parameter.
Yeah.
You know, para. And then parasamgate, again, sam is the same Indo-European root as our word same in English. So it means same, but also equal or even or complete. So we could say completely beyond gone. Bodhi is awaken. Svaha, so be it. It celebrates everything that went before. And so what this mantra is doing is it's taking us into that non-dual state, beyond duality, beyond concepts, because true awakening doesn't happen with concepts. We have to transcend, we have to move beyond the dualistic conceptual mind in order to taste, like what Manibhadra did. She tasted, she experienced it, she didn't think it. It's actually the mind got cracked open, and that's what allowed her to experience it. So this mantra is doing that for us. It's cracking our pot open. So now we get to integrate. Yeah, we can 3 times. Is a universal mantra of deliciousness. Inhale. So now listen to this and then join in and we can sing together. We don't have to do call and response. There's a little bit of a breath, a syncopation. So listen to that. Really open your ears. Let the mantra and the chanting be also a practice of listening. Om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisvaha. 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 Om gate gate paragate gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisvaha om 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 gate. You can dance this one if you want to transcend through the body. Louder, I can't hear you. Yes. Gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisvaha om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisvaha om gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisvaha gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha.
Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate,
Last time together.
bodhisvaha.
Om gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhisvaha. And again, feel that moment of mind recognizing mind, awareness recognizing itself like its own face, knowing, cognizant, clear, prabhasvara. Let the mind rest as it is, in its own nature, free of grasping, free of distraction. Just rest. Feel the warmth of the embrace of the Great Mother, Pragya Paramita. Paramita is having gone to the other shore. So prajna is wisdom. Paramita is having completely arrived in that wisdom. What if you were already there, the true hearer, the consolation prize? Everything is already perfect and complete. Thank you.
It's okay for now. Kevin, can it just be a little louder in here in the monitor? The vocal in the monitor? Yeah. Chandra.
Yeah.
Pragnya Paramita.
Yeah.
She appears in a story as the actual. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Yeah. So it's interesting because she wasn't really a figure until Tantra. So in the Pragyaparamita Sutras during the Mahayana period, this basically, historically, you have, Buddha Shakyamuni, who lived around the 500 BCE. And then about 500 years later, this sort of revolution, a renaissance happened in Buddhism. And that was marked by the arrival. I'm really glad you asked this because it ties in with Nagas.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
A little bit.
Yeah. the arrival of the Pragyaparamita texts or sutras. And the story goes that the great Mahayana, or the great teacher, who was also an alchemist and an Ayurvedic practitioner, Nagarjuna. Om. And Naga, of course, means the serpentine energy. And then Arjuna, in this, isn't it the white serpent? The white Nagarjuna? I thought it meant white. Could be wrong. Ah. Oh,
I'm going
interesting.
to say it into the mic.
Oh, there's the
Arjuna
mic.
is straight shooting white energy,
Interesting. Here we have the
not
not white. I
necessarily
don't know
white.
why I thought white.
Okay.
What? Or pink.
Yeah, but by virtue of being straight, there's an implication of
Pure.
adeptness, purity and adeptness.
Right.
Which unfortunately is always white
Uh,
in a lot of cultures,
in a lot of cultures.
not just Western cultures, actually.
But maybe, Robert, in the Mahabharata, because Arjuna is the master archer as well.
Mhm,
Uh-huh.
mhm.
So maybe that's where Arjuna, I'm just thinking of the name
Why?
Arjuna.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
Arjuna, because he's shoot straight,
Right.
because he's not he's not involved in weird twisted politics like he
Like the rest of his
like
clan.
the
Yeah.
everybody else.
Right.
So he's it's like, and he's very direct, and he's
Right.
he's not he's not devious.
And he asks the right question at the right moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's well aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is where Bhagavad Gita comes from.
Yeah, so you see a lot of overlaps, right, in different ways. And so this great Buddhist monk, also alchemist, Ayurvedic doctor, Nagarjuna, was so renowned and respected in his community and in Buddhism in general that the great Nagas who lived in the ocean, some tales say it was a big lake, who lived in the watery underworld, heard of him and thought, oh, he is the prophesized second Buddha. And he's the one who's supposed to receive these texts that we have been guarding ever since Buddha Shakyamuni gave them to us. And so they came up out of their watery underworld and came and listened to him outside of the window of the temple where he was giving Dharma teachings and said, yeah, he qualifies. And after his teachings, they came to him and they told him, we want to bring you to our underworld and share with you these very important texts. So he went with them, and the story goes that he lived with them for 50 years in their Nagaland and learned, memorized these sutras that are called the Prajna Paramita Sutras, the perfection of wisdom. Although perfection is not a great translation of paramita, it's really gone to the other shore, this kind of sense of completeness, of wholeness. But you're going to hear me say perfection of wisdom because everybody calls it that. And so he memorized them and then brought them up after 50 years of living down there and wrote them down and shared them. And that instigated this great renaissance of Buddhism called the Mahayana, the universal vehicle, sometimes called the great vehicle. But I like how Robert Thurman emphasizes this idea of universal. The Maha, it means great, like Mahasiddha, right? The great siddhas, the great adepts. Because there was a shift in orientation from more of individual liberation to a universal pursuit of being liberated for all beings. So in that way, it's Maha, it's universal. And in those teachings, in the text of Pragyaparamita text, the main themes that were emphasized were the teachings on emptiness, shunyata, and compassion, karuna.
Okay.
But I want to tie it in.
No, yeah.
So Pragyaparamita became, especially the perfection of wisdom, was understood as this direct realization of emptiness, like what I said earlier. And that experience is this philosophical teaching of emptiness, is a philosophical teaching that is not gendered. It's just a teaching on emptiness. But the experience of wisdom was said to have this quality of the mother of the awakened state, like the Enzo, right? The pregnant zero in Japanese Buddhism. And so
I think
later in
Tenzin said that
Tantra,
shunyata comes from that, the womb. Shunyata.
shunya, empty.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what he was
Yes.
saying in another teaching.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So when you said
Yeah.
womb of totality,
Yes.
that's what. So it's not nothingness,
Exactly.
as shunyata might imply,
Exactly.
but it actually comes from that root.
That's right.
Yeah.
So last thing I want to say is that, because you know me, I'll go on and on. You give me the mic.
Keep talking. I'm fine.
No, but it's a good question because she was called the mother of the Buddhas even in these early sutras, but women were still sort of, not
Yeah.
respected in Buddhism.
Yeah.
Like even in these sutras, I have to say, I was appalled to learn this. That even in some of these sutras, it says that women have to undergo a sexual change
Yeah.
to become enlightened.
Right.
So through a direct realization of emptiness, women can change their gender and become a man and then get Buddhahood.
And then be enlightened.
Or you can just say, oh, next life I'll be reborn. Pray to be reborn as a man, and then you can be enlightened. So there was still some misogyny, even in the Mahayana. But we're going to focus on the positive. Can't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Or else I would have left Buddhism a long time ago. Let me just tell you, like I'm not going to
There's
do that.
nowhere else to go.
And there's nowhere else to
because
go.
it's everywhere.
There's nothing better. Exactly. And so in Tantra, though, about 500 years after the Mahayana era, this medieval period with the Mahasiddhas and all the great juiciness of Tantra, you get more of an inclusion of women, the body, the senses, sexuality, a lot of things. Really great. Another renaissance, another revolution. And this philosophical principle of Pragyaparamita became articulated and expressed as a goddess. And so you start seeing paintings of Pragyaparamita as a female Buddha, golden in color. Why? Because if you're going to associate with her with any of the mandala families, the mandala Buddha families, she's that enriching quality of giving birth, giving life. And that's the Ratna, the jewel family of the southern dimension of the mandala. So she has a gold tinge.
Like Lakshmi.
Like Lakshmi.
Yeah.
But she is a Dharmakaya Buddha, meaning she's actually not in the mandala. Right. She transcends the mandala. But they give her a little gold tinge.
Yeah. Mm. We'll be jinxing each other a lot.
Yeah, so please.
So, every time I think of these things, I come back to my experience with my guru. No matter how much I read and how much philosophy I try to listen to and understand, this wisdom that we're talking about, for me, feels purely an inner understanding, an acceptance of maybe what Bob Thurman was talking about as reality, on our way to finding out what our true nature is. Because they say that, as Chandra was talking about before, that space where awareness recognizes itself as being interconnected with all beings, transcending time, is who we are on some level. And we are on the path to discovering that. And the inspiration to turn in that direction can come as a spark of just your karmic fruition in this life. And I loved what Robert Svoboda said yesterday about how there's the committee or whoever of karma dispensers, whoever they are, and they're not us. But we have to face what comes toward us. And my experience of understanding how that can be in a way that's helpful to us was in seeing my guru in action. Because the way in which she welcomed us into her space was completely inclusive, completely. And, you know, many stories were not really written about her before I met her. It's only after she left the body in 2017 that her close disciple Jaya wrote the book, which we have over there. And in being with her, and her offering everything she is, was, and to be to her Guru Maharaji, because these are just forms for us to recognize and use words to describe a presence. I saw that really the presence I felt in hearing the stories of Maharaji, the presence that I felt in looking at a mountaintop, the presence that I felt with a deer feeding her fawn, they were all the same. And in that presence, there was the aspects of clarity of thought or wisdom, like a true understanding, as well as an open-heartedness, a sense of compassion that includes everyone. And I think that's often exemplified as, or shown as, the mother, simply because that's how we experience life in the world, because it's the creation force, or the portal, or the womb from where all that we experience and are is manifested from. And between that space is the ground of being, or auspiciousness, or goodness, or Shiva. And the aspect of Shiva is Shakti, the feminine, that arises not necessarily from there, but is part of it. It's all part of the one. And in being with her and seeing her strength, incredible strength, courage, or the absence of fear, which is such a big thing. And all these prayers in the Chandipat are asking the goddess to remove fear. So what's left in the absence of fear is a welcome, an openness. And seeing that in her, because though she looked like a traditional Indian woman, she had her head covered, she did all the things as a cultural Indian woman would do. In her, I saw the complete union of all these qualities that are considered masculine or feminine. And so it didn't matter. She just happened to appear to us in the form, the body of a woman. But I found it interesting that in the practices that are part of our tradition, which fortunately for us is so rich in pathways to follow and find within yourself, to dig this deep well into the place of your own heart. The practice of the goddess really drew me in. And I think a lot of it has to do with what Robert Thurman was saying about wanting to express the feminine as well and give it equal status, only because if we are to relate to what we are practicing, we have to bring it into our own being. which is why I opened this morning with the meditation, because to find that interweaving space of awareness and space, as you were talking about, Chandra, we have to open up our pores in a certain way and try to soften the lines that separate us. And we do that by inviting the goddess, as she's described in these prayers, as aspects of our own being. So in the Chandipat is a beautiful set of verses where we talk about the goddess, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matri Rupena Samsthita. So Ya Devi, this goddess, Sarva Bhuteshu, alive in all beings, in the form of the mother, I bow to her. That's one of the lines. But many of the others have to do with our experience of how we live our life. And they're named. So she's named as even the veil that covers everything. Vishnu Mayeti Shabdita. And that which we can see through ultimately into reality. She's named as Lakshmi. She's named as Kanti, beauty. She's named as Tushti, happiness. She's named as Shraddha, devoted faith and understanding. She's named as light. She's named as wisdom. She's named as forgiveness. And she's named as even the distracted mind, which is all part of our experience, whether we're in the world doing our worldly things, and also when we take the space to do our practice. So we keep inviting her in this way. And in sitting with Siddhima and watching the way in which she interacted with people and the instructions she gave people, which I had some amount of privy to only because I was translating for other Westerners who were there. And so I was just simply translating what she was saying, and people came in with different circumstances and questions in their life. And it was pure discernment. It's just, and it's not with having to analyze anything. It's clear, so clear. She met the moment, she met the person, she met the situation with that diamond-like Vajra wisdom. And so being in her presence is really what helps me to understand these terms, these stories, these teachings. I guess I needed to be with someone like her. Not everyone can. But what I've also found is that reading about saints and hearing those who've been with saints, in the way Robert speaks about his teachers, the way Bob Thurman speaks about his teachers, and also everything that comes through in the teachings that, come from Mahasiddhas or yoginis and from hundreds, thousands of years ago. And even in the stories, the Itihasa stories like the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, infused in there are these teachings. And they help us map out our lives in the way in which these beings in these stories evolve and meet each moment. And in the story of the Devi, so I was mentioning about Chandipat, it's also called the Devi Mahatmya. It's also called the Durga Saptashati. And there are many teachings on the goddesses, the Devi Bhagavatam as well. But, and then from there are specific mantras and prayers dedicated to many, many forms of the of the goddess. But I find that in these mantras, in these 700 verses of the Devi, and the description, which we heard a little bit of in the meditation itself, is what are the instruments that she's carrying? You know, it's all solidified in that form. So there's the pike of concentration, there's the sword of discernment, there's the mace of breaking open the ego. There's all these weapons, and it's all described in these mantras. And it's a way in which we can recognize that we actually have these abilities inside of us. We just have to acknowledge that they're there. And by acknowledging them, we start to move out the discursive stuff, what gets in the way of skillful thought and action, and in speech and in the body, and also our thought, starting with our thought processes. And so for me, chanting mantra is the core of my practice, because it's a way in which so many things happen in chanting of mantra. We are chanting very specific sacred syllables that have been passed on over the years and over the centuries, eons, however, yugas, let's say, and because they've been helpful. And so the mantras are creating, through the listening and the repetition, Navashabda samskara, so new thought patterns in the mind that are going to be helpful for us. The more we do it, the more we repeat, the more we recite, the mantra is going to help us move through what we have to move through in life. And in the Chandipat, mantra itself is described as the goddess. She is the goddess. She is the mantra. Mantra is she. She is her. However you want to think about it. And Siddhima also gave us as our practice, she didn't ask us to meditate. Maybe she knew better because I'm not any good at it. But she did say chanting of the mantra was the way to enter into the space of meditation, into that space where we can actually allow for us to connect with that which is outside of our thoughts, into ourselves. So it's all inside and outside. And many of the mantras, that's not the case in the Chandipat, because what's happening in the Chandipat, I'll finish my first part of my sentence, which is many of the mantras we chant, we are naming the masculine and the feminine, right? Sita, Ram, Uma Maheshwara. And also some people say in the Hare Krishna, Hare Rama mantra, actually Rama represents Radha. Sachinandan Swami said that at some point a long time ago. So who knows? So many interpretations, right? But in the Chandipat, what's happening at the beginning of the story is that it has been recognized that there is a massive demon taking many, many forms over time that's taking over the minds and hearts of all beings. And the way in which the story is told is that the Devatas believe that the only way to overcome these negativities was to take the power of the Shakti and put them together that would equal the force of the negativities that were overcoming all beings in all the realms and in all the time ages as well. And so the story is told so beautifully because it's actually very progressive. You're approaching Durga, who is not necessarily easy to approach, but once we meet her, we don her armor as protection. And we move through these 700 verses, through all, naming all the goddesses, in Durga herself in many forms. She's Kali, she's Ambike, she's Chandika, she's so many different names. And then we call upon Saraswati for the teachings, for the wisdom. So first and Durga gives us the tools and the weapons to protect ourselves and the tools for the learning, for the receiving of the wisdom, in order to then honor Lakshmi, who is the goddess of abundance. She gives us whatever we desire on the material plane, with the understanding that we will then receive the ultimate wealth, which is understanding our true nature. So it's a process. It goes through in these 700 verses, using these Sanskrit syllables, which I don't know how to chant, by the way. I've not chanted them, but I have sat through a festival which is called Devi Navaratri or Durga Puja, where these 700 verses are chanted in the Sanskrit style tradition. And at the same time, there are offerings made into the fire. And so Robert talked about, the importance of fire and puja. Just he touched on it because he's going to share that with us either today or tomorrow. I forget on the schedule.
Today.
Is it today? Today in the afternoon.
Inshallah.
May it not rain
May it not
upon
rain.
the fire for just that time. And it's a beautiful way to really call in the support that we need to connect with these devatas. We make the offerings, we receive the blessings of the fire. And because so much of our lives are spent doing everything outside of that. So how do we, now that we're on retreat, take the time to let the other stuff fall away just for the moment and recognize the enriching quality of like nourishment from the goddess from doing these prayers and these pujas. So that's what's happening in the Chandipat. And ultimately recognizing that the goddess, towards the end, she is chasing down the demon called Raktabij, and which literally means the seed of desire. So we're trying to get to the root of that which is inauspicious in our lives, that which takes us away from finding the right way, our dharmic way, in order to meet our karmas in the best way that we can. And Raktabija is an incredible demon who has the ability to multiply every time he's attacked and wounded and a drop of blood falls to the ground, another one of his will pop up. So this is the end of the story. So you have to read the whole thing in between because amazing things happen. But what really got me was the description of Devi towards the end of this whole cycle of light overcoming darkness, positive overcoming negativity, and having to go through the cycles of it over and over again. And at the end of this, Durga now has to take the most fiercely efficacious form, I don't know how else to say it, to get the job done. And she moves with the swiftness of the wind, and she roars with the sound of the eternal, primordial sound of the universe. And as the battle is being fought with Raktabija, with the army that's in battle with her, every drop that falls to the ground, she sweeps up and swallows it herself. Out of the deepest compassion for us. And she had the skill and the understanding that this was how this was going to get accomplished. And if only we could just take a little bit of understanding of that for our own selves. We've received the teaching of the mother from the way I see it in this story. So I just wanted to share that with you and encourage you to read Devi Mahatmya as a way, as a process. You can't sit down and read the whole thing, but even if you read little verses at a time. And, there's beautiful verses like Siddhi Buddhi Prade Devi Bhukti Mukti Pradayini Mantra Murte Sada Devi Mahalakshmi Namostute. So Siddhi Buddhi Prade Devi. So Siddhi has been spoken about as achievement or accomplishment, let's say. Buddhi is wise intelligence. Prade Devi, the goddess, please give us that. Bhukti Mukti Pradayini, which is give us what we need in this world, fulfill our desires, and then liberate us from those desires. Mukti, Bhukti Mukti Pradayini. She's the one who gives that to us. Mantra Murte Sada Devi. So Mantra Murte means she is actually the form of, she takes the form of the mantra. Mantra Murte Sada Devi Mahalakshmi Namostute. So great mother, we bow to you. So there's little verses in here that as you read through it, you'll find them for yourself. And many times you'll hear them chanted and, excerpted from there. And it's really a wonderful practice to find and to repeat and keep trying to remind yourself of the power of these practices, whatever that might be for you, to transform us. And remembering the great beings who are shining the light on this path for us. All of them, whatever form they might be in. There was I think Robert spoke about Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche and his experience. And for me, I haven't even read any of his teachings. I just looked at his photograph, just looked at him, and just all the love and compassion and wisdom in the world was transmitted into me, for that moment at least, until we forget. Whenever we become Buddhas, may it happen soon.
Last week.
Right. And so, yeah. And then, in bringing all these teachings into our lives and into our culture of balancing how we feel about patriarchy, how we feel as women, and trying to talk through this in the most compassionate way without attributing blame, because we're all conditioned by culture. And so you've seen how so many of these teachings, they've changed over time. If you go back to the root of it, like for example, I study Veda with my teacher, who is from a lineage of teachers that go way back to the original teachings and the practice from the Rig Veda that's considered some of the oldest teachings that come from India and maybe everywhere, I'm not sure. And one of the questions, the reason why I wanted to study with her is because she's a woman, first of all. In all my time in India, I couldn't find a single teacher that would teach a woman how to chant Veda. I mean, maybe I didn't look hard enough, but they weren't available. It's not common. And to see her, I found her on Instagram during the pandemic. Thank you, Instagram, for some of the wonderful things that we learn about. And the question was asked of her because even for me as a woman practicing in India, I've had people write to me and say, you should not be chanting the Hanuman Chalisa. Forget about Veda. Because if you want, this was when I was younger, because now it's kind of a moot point. But if you want to have, you will lose your fertility if you chant the Hanuman Chalisa, because as Krishna said the other day, Hanuman is the eternal brahmachari. But then there are many other stories, which we'll ask Bob to tell you and Krishna to tell you about later, about Hanuman broke that vow. And so it's really a battle to do practice as a woman sometimes. So to be in Kenchi with Siddhima in that way, with her in her presence, like I don't see this in many other cultures, but it still exists in India. There are saints who are alive in the body or have been, and there are teachings that are available from them. And I think it's important, while I don't think we need to divide as masculine, feminine, but as women trying to move through this world and centuries of, I'll say the word, subjugation, we don't even realize how much work it takes to be a woman. And to be with her as a householder, she had children, she had grandchildren, they're all alive still. And to see the way in which she served her guru, who was seemingly in a male body, and still find her full being, that was true inspiration for me. And so what's going on the level in which we live, we can deal with it. We can. And we can do it in a good way, with a kind of openness and right thinking and right speech, and not having to bash anyone. Just have our strength, our own inner strength. And for those who are in male bodies, to also understand that it's inside them. And that's how we can be all one, as the great beings say. Okay, so that's just what came up for me. I don't even know, I didn't even think about that before we had a whole discussion about what we were teaching this morning, and I didn't say any of it.
Pragya Paramita.
Yeah. So, yes. Can I give you a microphone, please? Hold it. Kevin went to the bathroom. Okay.
Maybe just ask it and we'll
Yeah,
repeat it.
We'll repeat it. Go ahead, Kathy.
No, just ask it. Repeat it.
Okay, here it comes.
Thank you. You touched on so many important things, and I have this ongoing struggle of feeling very alone in my journey because I don't have a teacher, a guru, a mentor. I had this thought while I was listening to you speak that I think a lot of my own search has been in a sort of very masculine energy. And listening to you, I'm not exactly sure what that even means to me.
Right.
But I'm understanding that there needs to be a little bit more balance for me.
Inside you.
Yeah, and in my spiritual journey. But my question is, how does one, what I'm always feeling kind of, I want help, like I want guidance, like I want somebody to, and I don't have that. What would you say to somebody who's feeling that way?
I think that Sangha is very important. Having a satsang, having people that you can discuss things with, those who are seeking on the path. I don't necessarily, although I wouldn't exclude sitting at a bar and having a glass of wine, but I mean people in practice and people really trying to have an understanding of what these practices mean to them is very helpful. And where do you live?
Woodstock as of last week.
Woodstock. Congratulations, you've come to the right place. The million
I'm
practitioners up here.
seeking.
Yeah, everybody's around. I mean, Woodstock, we have, I mean, you should talk to Lee Mirabai. She's been up here a lot.
Mm-hmm.
She does a lot of practices up here in the Buddhist, in the temples, and you can talk to her later, but she knows a lot about the sanghas that happen up here. Chandra and I went up to a center called Padma Sambhava, which is further up north where Noah lives, actually. And there are amazing teachings there. We'll talk about that tomorrow because it relates to the 21 taras, which we're going to discuss. And then other than that, there's a ragtag crew of people chanting all the time in this area. If you like chanting, you'll see for yourself if you do or not, because it may not be for you. Like maybe she likes it. Okay. And along with that, our teachings online, Kathy, they're so helpful. Robert Svoboda has incredible teachings that you can get through, which I listen to. I love his teachings. I listen to Bob Thurman. He's on Substack teaching. David Nichtern sitting here. There's so many people here doing amazing things. Chandra's teaching. Everybody's learning. And I mean, in India, there's a beautiful thing because the word for teaching and learning, the root is the same. Sikhna, sikhao. So the teacher and the student are the same. So just, guidance is what we all need. And some people have more experience on the path than you do, and they become your spiritual friend, and Kalyan Mitra, they'll help you. And I found that to be, and then reading stories of saints, watch movies about them, and develop a practice for yourself, whatever that is for you, slowly, that you can do every day on your own. And after you've been with a lot of people, we do all of the things. We're here together in this retreat. Sometimes I hang out with just one or two of these people. Sometimes I'm on my own. A lot of the time I'm with Krishnadas. Just depends. But I do a lot of online study too. I find it's such an amazing thing. What's that?
And teaching, you do. So
Yes,
you
well,
study with that too.
I like to share things. I think it's helpful for all of us.
One last thing. I feel that there is so much that it almost becomes overwhelming and I don't know where to begin and then I kind of shut down.
You can't know everything. Some people are gifted with incredible memories, like Dr. Robert Svoboda, who remembers everything. And if I even try to remember half a story, what, Robert? Except people's names, but he knows their being because you recognize them when you see them. I don't try to learn to know anything. Like Chandra comes from a tradition she studied, she knows those stories. I like to hear them. Sometimes they just go through me, but I get something from it. Even if you don't remember it, it's okay. You still receive something from the story. But your practice that you do at home should be something small and simple. And it's something that maybe you don't even need to understand it. You just do it. And through the repetition of the doing, it blossoms inside of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Can we chant with you?
We can chant. Shall we just do one chant before we go to lunch?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So the words for this chant go like this. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya
Maheshwaraya.
Namo Namo Namaha. So we have the names of the feminine, masculine devatas together. Sometimes in the Indian tradition, you see in the art and divine sacred art, especially, an image of that in one being, Ardhanishwara. You see the masculine, you see the one being divided in two parts down the middle. So that is the perfect union, like Yabyum, like Chandra was speaking about earlier. It's just shown differently. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha.
Maheshwaraya. Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha.
Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya.
Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo 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 Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. 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 Om Shri Uma Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo 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 Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Om Shri Uma Maheshwaraya Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Namo Namo Namaha. Om. Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace all around. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. And may all beings have everything they need. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for staying. Thank you, Robert. I love being with Robert. And David, who's gone, but still. And all of you.
Thank you, Nina.
It's such a blessing to hang out with everyone. Thank you so much.
Maybe.
And all these beautiful people on stage with us. Chandra, what did you want to say?
Well, before we go,
Yeah.
maybe we should clarify what's going to happen in the afternoon. If it's sunny versus rainy, where do we come back to after lunch?
Robert, do you know?
Oh,
At 4 o'clock. I will say it also. Go ahead. Yeah. But what if it rains, what will you do? I guess is the question. Do you know? Good. The deck by the dining room, the one that overlooks the lake. That's where he likes to do.
If it does rain, I have no clue.
Okay.
maybe
I
we
mean,
come
should
here.
we-
Either it
sit in
can be
the
done a
circle.
different day, or we could even do it in the fireplace. I mean, that's not my
Oh, in
preference.
the dining. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we did that last time. That's
Yeah, yeah.
one time.
So,
Okay,
I
good.
go.
But-
Yeah, go ahead.
But first, there is a sound bath. Noah reminded us.
Yeah,
So
no,
Yeah.
right
that's
after
at
lunch.
2 o'clock.
at
At
2
2
o'clock.
o'clock is a sound bath here. But if you don't come to the sound bath, then you might not hear an announcement for the next thing. And so ideally, what we're going to do is meet at the deck out front of the dining hall. And if it's raining, then we'll go inside and probably do it around the fireplace. Okay, that's at 4. Sound bath at 2 here, fire puja and on the deck at 4.
And
On the deck, inshallah, God willing.
exactly. God
So bring
Then
willing.
one
layers.
kicha.
Exactly.
So bring layers.
And
Should people bring their own cushion to sit on?
they sit on the chairs and
Yep.
the
Okay.
steps.
Okay.
Yeah. We will Does anybody want to shop? Not right now. Yes. Okay. So we're doing double duty here. Okay. So I'm going to go over there now and we'll see what we can do together. Okay. But everyone have lunch and be ready to come back for the sound bath at 2 with Arjun. It's not a sound bath. Let's call it a sound journey, which is what he prefers. And you'll see why. Okay. See you later.